Hello everyone, you're at the latest market news on April the 2nd, 2021. Apple criticizes restrictions on voting in Georgia. Apple Inc. CEO Tim Cook on Thursday became the latest corporate leader to speak out against new voting restrictions in Georgia, saying that American history is one of expanding voting rights for all citizens. The Republican-backed Georgia law strengthened identification requirements for absentee voting, shortened the early voting period for runoff voting, and made it a misdemeanor for the public to offer food and water to voters waiting in line. The measure, which also drew clamor from Democratic President Joe Biden, faces legal challenges from civil society groups who claim it is aimed at suppressing voting among blacks and other racial minorities. Major U.S. companies were charged on Wednesday with challenging the law, with several executives speaking out against voting restrictions. Shares of Apple Inc. rose 0.70% to $123 on Thursday. U.S. employment expected to rise sharply in March. U.S. employers were likely to accelerate their hiring in March as more vaccinations and more pandemic funds came in from the government, boosting hopes that this could push economic growth this year to its strongest since 1984. The Labor Ministry is also expected to scrutinize Friday's employment report, which will show people returning to the labor market attracted by these bright economic prospects. But the market is not yet out of control, and the job shortage is still huge, with long-term unemployment becoming more entrenched. Economists non-farm payrolls are likely to have risen by 647,000 jobs last month after rising by 379,000 in February. That would have been the biggest increase since October. Estimates range from 115,000 to 1.1 million jobs. Even so, the labor market would not reach its peak of around 8.8 million jobs in February 2020. World stocks surge on factory data, falling yields. Asian markets were set to open higher on Friday on a holiday trading session on a wave of strong factory data and falling bond yields that pushed U.S. and European benchmark stock indices to record highs. The China Financial Futures Exchange's CIS 300 index rose 1.76%. The Nikkei Futures Index rose 1.23%, and the mini S&P 500 Futures Index rose 1.18%. Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, and Singapore were among the Eastern countries celebrating Good Friday. On Wall Street, the S&P 500 climbed another new high, breaking the 4,000 mark after the Institute for Supply Management said its index of U.S. factory activity soared to its highest level in more than 37 years in March. The S&P 500 rose 1.18% and the Nasdaq climbed 1.76%. The Dow Jones lagged behind, rising just 0.52%. Earlier, Germany's DAX index also hit a new peak after IHS Markit's Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index (PMI) showed that Eurozone factories were showing the fastest growth rate in the almost 24-year history of the survey. Oil price rises after OPEC eases production limits. Oil prices rose 3% on Thursday following news that OPEC Plus had reached an agreement to phase out production from May. Brent crude was up 3.1% to $64.68 a barrel. U.S. crude rose 3.6% to $61.26 a barrel. OPEC Plus, which includes the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, Russia, and other allied producers, agreed to ease production limits by 350,000 barrels per day in May and June, and another 400,000 barrels per day in July. Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak said on Thursday he hoped global oil inventories, a key metric for the oil industry, would return to their normal level in 2-3 months. While Jennifer Granholm, the new energy secretary appointed by U.S. President Joe Biden, made it clear that the group should consider increasing production to keep energy available. However, Saudi Arabia says the market recovery has been far from complete.